Welcome to PENSARE Basketball. I don't think I've ever been this unenthused about a 3-game win streak, but that's where we're at right now. We are in the tankathon days, the dog days of basketball right now. It's hard to watch this. It is hard to watch Walker Kessler literally look like a star and then airball free throws. It is hard to watch as this team routinely attacks their only non-good matchup, right? Like going into this game, you literally, okay, so let's set the stage here. No RJ Barrett, no Jakob Poeltl, no Brandon Ingram, no Grady Dick, no Ochai Abaji. Okay, cool. No Chris Boucher, wisdom teeth. Okay. Like I'm okay, cool. So the Jazz, they're moving around their chess pieces on the other side. Okay, no Lauri Markkanen. Okay, cool. The Raptors walk into this game prohibitively favorites to win at home. The Jazz on a 10-game losing streak on the road. I mean, you're not going to lose this game. But there was one way that you could potentially lose this game, which is, okay, we're just going to have Orlando Robinson attack the only non-favorable matchup over and over and over again. We're going to go at Walker Kessler. We're just going to keep attacking him. And we're just going to let him swat everything. And we're just going to miss a bunch of shots. Were it not for the insane number of free throws, were it not for the insane number of turnovers, the Utah Jazz they could have won this game. That's the crazy thing. Now, of course, there's some very, very encouraging things for the Toronto Raptors. I think there are some encouraging things. I think Jacobe Walter built on that game winner. He was very excited. A lot of players go through a long period of time in the NBA without having a signature moment. He has a signature moment. That game winner is something that, you dream of. When you're a kid shooting hoops in the driveway, that's what you dream of. Game winner, game on the line, three-pointer, and, knowing the context of him trying to draw the foul as well, knowing that the team was basically trying to lose and he just said, F that noise. That was amazing. And he came out tonight in the first quarter and he was guns blazing. But of course, in Raptors fashion, nothing good can last. And so, boom, there goes Jacobe Walter in the second half, quad injury. He's out. All right. What was good for the Raptors tonight? Of course, Emmanuel Quickley's shot making. He hasn't made enough shots this year. He's kind of looked a little bit disjointed as a team's lead guard, at times, right? ESPN needs IKD saying, this is honestly embarrassing. Can't sugarcoat this anymore, LOL. Horrendous malpractice from the organization. Get ready to learn, plan in 8th or 9th odds. Well, it was always going to be this way, right? I mean, we can take a look at what's been going on. We can take a look around the league, and that's just what it is. You're just not going to be bad enough to out-tank some of these teams. That's just where it is. Yeah, we're heading for the play-in, guys. I think my issue with it at this point is it doesn't seem like we've completely embraced that, holding out RJ Barrett in a back-to-back, right? Playing Garrett Temple in the third quarter, garbage minutes, right? Now, there's a glass half full and a glass half empty approach to this. Glass half full, you're building depth and you're finding out a lot about your end of bench guys, right? Guys who would otherwise not really get a ton of minutes. You're finding out a lot about Orlando Robinson by putting him in starter rotation. You started AJ Lawson tonight after a really big fourth quarter. So that's, at least rewarding the culture. You played 28 minutes for Jared Rhoden tonight, so rewarding one of your G League guys, and Colin Castleton, who is with the team on a 10-day. He looked competent tonight. Like, he fouled out of the game, but 2 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, just, getting on the offensive glass, moving the basketball, not trying too much, right? So, I mean, I think the question is at this point, it's like, okay, you get 2 picks coming in next year. It's not quite the Memphis Grizzlies. You're not exactly building up marquee talent, right? Like, this is not like, okay, Jacoby reps. I get that. Jamison Battle reps. I get that. Is AJ Lawson a trade asset, or is AJ Lawson a future rotation piece? Honestly, I don't know. Rafer Alston comes to mind as a guy who sort of came on as a 10-day and just hung on. But at this point, you have so many young players. I'm not really sure what can be gained at this point by playing these guys so many minutes. But at the same time, it's like, if you got injuries, you got injuries. Jonathan Mobo is injured. He can't play. Ulrich injured. Naturally, Ulrich is going to play a ton of minutes if he wasn't injured. Also, I will apologize in advance. I am very sick. I don't usually get sick. I literally told someone this weekend, I don't get sick. I never get sick. Blah, 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 blah. I should have touched wood when I said that, because last night I woke up with a massive fever, and all day I've been battling chills, and I'm watching this game, and I just screamed, "Why do you keep going into Walker Kessler, man? Why?" Like, eventually the Raptors did crack the code, run in transition. The Jazz are a slow team. They were very slow to recover in transition. Scotty got on a break many times. AJ Lawson got out on a break. Emmanuel Quickley popping up above the break and spread it around. The Jazz do not really guard multiple actions. They're very, very poor rotation team, right? Like, the only way the Jazz were going to win is if you were going to spoon feed them this victory. And how are you going to spoon feed them the victory? Oh, I don't know. Post up Orlando Robinson. Post up Scotty Barnes. Attack right into Walker Kessler. Shy away from the shot blocker. Miss a close one at the rim. That's how you were going to lose this game. How are you going to win this game? Literally do anything else. Literally do anything else. You could have sprinted them off the court. You could have just out defensed them off the court. Some good performances to talk about. Let's just, take a look at this game. Okay. Overall, what do you say? You got Isaiah Collier, you got Colin Sexton, Walker Kessler, Bryce Sensabaugh, and KJ Martin on the other side. This is real life. This is the NBA. Oh my God. The league has to step in and do something, man. These teams and these games, this is not the last time you face the Jazz. You got to face them one more time. Now you got to go to Utah, and you got to beat them in their building, and Lord knows what they're going to do in their building. I think the biggest question coming into tonight was, were the Raptors going to do what they did in the last game tonight as well? Were they going to do that again? Were they going to try to throw the game the way they did against Orlando, where they rest their starters? Nope. Scotty closes the game. IQ closes the game. I think the Raptors were just like, okay, we'll do you one better. We're not even going to play our starters. We can't pull them out of the game if they don't play. RJ Barrett was in street clothes, right? Jakob Poeltl in street clothes. These guys are fully healthy to play, man. So I think at this point the Raptors are just hedging their bets. At this point, I do have to question the intelligence of it, though. Like, just go in, whoop them, beat them by 60, beat them by 80, beat them by 100. Get one for your fans. Play all your starters. Shit, bring in Brandon Ingram. Just beat this team by like 75 points. It might be worth like 5 wins in terms of morale, Get RJ Barrett 25 points, boost everyone's trade value, boost everyone's numbers. At this point, you're not doing either. You know what I mean? Like, presumably, you're going to be trying to trade some of these guys in the offseason, right? You might as well get those numbers up. Speaking of, guys and numbers and contracts, Emmanuel Quickley bombing away to this game, right? Whew. Just couldn't miss. I mean, they did not play him well. He was open a lot, but credit to him for hitting the shots. Credit to him for playing with pace. He finishes the game with 34 points. He did not start out super hot from the field. Neither did Scotty Barnes, but IQ got to the line. He got to the line 8 times in the first half. Didn't get to the line in the second half, but he finishes with 34 points on 10 for 20 shooting. With some of the games he's had this year, I'll take it. Scotty Barnes, he started out horribly. Like, defensively, he was great. Offensively, he was really just flat-footed, no burst, a lot of awkward finishes. And then, somewhere in the second quarter, he started to get a little bit of juice. And then we saw a very different Scotty in the second half. Kind of woke up, playing transition a little bit more, demanding the ball, being a little bit more decisive. So I like that version of Scotty. Off the bench, you got Jamison Battle with the Batman face mask. He had 11 points. He had a really good game. Shout outs to Jamison Battle and shout outs to Minnesota basketball. And Jared Rhoden, he was very good off the bench. He had 14 points. For the Jazz, it was just a Walker Kessler show, man. 18 points, 25 rebounds, including 13 offensive rebounds. How do you lose the offensive rebounding battle when one guy has this many offensive rebounds? Well, Scotty had 7. Orlando Robinson had 2. IQ had 2. AJ had 2. Jacoby had 3 before exiting the game, which is insane when you think about the fact that he exited the game at the 18-minute mark, right? Off the bench, Colin Castleton had 2. Roden had 3. You know, one thing you learn is when you have a shot blocker, sometimes shot blockers are a little bit undisciplined when it comes to box out assignments. They're not the greatest with it. And unfortunately for the Jazz, they gave up a lot of like loose ball, long rebounds. The Raptors got a lot of offensive rebounds off of, long misses. So overall, I think this is just, how are y'all feeling? Yeah, how are y'all feeling? Y'all feeling good? Y'all feeling good about this? Are y'all in panic? I feel like y'all in panic. The Raptors took 20 more field goal attempts. 20 more field goal attempts. The Raptors offense has been so bad over the last 10 games. It is actually crazy. They have been one of the 4 worst offenses in the NBA over the last 10 games. They are so inefficient. You know what's crazy? I was reading the Kirk Goldsberry stats. Like every 10 games, Kirk Goldsberry comes out with the stats. And it was so interesting where he says, well, what do you say? The Raptors are the second worst offensive team over the last 10 games. Would you believe that the Philadelphia 76ers with defensive guru Nick Nurse are the worst defensive team over the last 10 games? Kind of makes you think, what the hell does coaching have to do with anything anyway? I don't know. That's a thought I had. NY for Raps. Why bring Scotty back? Are you under the impression that they would have lost this game if Scotty hadn't come back? For real? I don't think it would have made a difference. I think the only difference tonight was, do you want to win by 10, or do you want to win by 30, or do you want to win by 50? Because I feel like whatever you chose, I'm like, those are your options. You were not about to lose against the Utah Jazz. I would have bet my entire life on this game. Like I know for a fact you're not losing to the Utah Jazz on the road. Like the Jazz are unimaginably bad. And in the off chance that they actually do end up like coming close in a game, they do have phenomenal ways to tank down the stretch. Like this is a team that they've got their eye on the prize. Like they know what, like this is Cooper or bust for them. For that market, obviously for this market, for any market, Cooper Flagg would be a revelation, but that team seems to be all in on Coop. And they're willing to put their money where their mouth is. They're willing to put their team and their fan base through a lot of pain to get there. And you know what? To any one of you, I got a message for you. To any one of you, when the Raptors were losing by 12, 15, 18, 22, 25, 30, whatever, to any one of you who said, this is embarrassing, we can't lose like this, this is your fault. This is your fault. You panicky people saying Scotty's a bum, RJ's a bum, IQ's a bum, look at this team, they're so trash. This is on you. This whole thing is on you, okay? This team responding and, shutting up the chirpers. Well, you don't have anyone to shut up if no one's chirping. So, you know what? You couldn't let a good thing be. This team was getting blown out. This team was getting beat. This team was losing ethically. You couldn't let a good thing be. And now, what you didn't realize all that time ago was that you were always going to win all these games at the end. And now where we are where we are going to be probably going to the 10th seed by default. Because there's really nothing you can do at this point. Because the unfortunate thing is that at the end of every basketball game, one team wins and one team loses. And unfortunately, there's just no way to lose some of these games. You're not going to lose to the Wizards. You're not going to lose to the Jazz. You're not going to lose. So you got like 10 more wins. So you just do the math. 10, 12 wins. And then go find how many more wins you expect Chicago to get. Subtract those two numbers and tell me if we're going to be 10th. Best case scenario, we're 11th. And we're like half a game out. And then at the end of the season, we're like, oh, thank God. At that point, you're just like, what are we rooting for? So weird. Wizards have won 3 of their last 5. That would be great if we were competing with the Wizards We are not competing with the Wizards. Unfortunately, we are competing with the Sixers and the Nets and the Bulls. And until those teams start winning, we're not going to be okay. We're not going to be out of the woods. Scotty should sit out. That would really help because right now the Raptors are pretty much like middle of the pack defense to upper echelon defense and a very, very bad offense. And if Scotty Barnes stops playing, well, then you'll be a really, really bad offense and a really bad defense. But who knows? Raptors are only 4 games behind the Bulls. Sure. Well, there were some exciting moments in this game. Let's take a look at a few of those. I did not clip too much for the post-game film session. I apologize, guys. I am going to get back into my groove probably in the next 2 games. I am still all day, all night working on pendants over the last 2 days. We've been releasing media, writing thank you letters, preparing our financing letters for next year. So there's so much work that still needs to be done. And I've been sleeping a lot too, which is crazy, but that's just like the medicine makes you drowsy, right? So, okay. Okay. I mean, this is nuts, right? Like how you lose Kyle Filipowski, who had a ball of, like, he had a crazy game. Kyle Filipowski and Walker Kessler just could not be stopped. This is awesome defense. Very ethical, I would say. And this is the start of Jacoby's game. Man, this guy looks so confident. Like, my caption here is he's letting everybody know, right? Karen Hall saying, remember early in the season when you said that we had lucked into the perfect schedule? Yes. Unfortunately, we did win a couple of games that we probably weren't supposed to. And I honestly had no idea that the East could be this bad 10 through 15. Like, at this point, the Raptors should be out of it. Their record is so bad. They should be mathematically eliminated if the East was normal. And unfortunately, this play-in bullshit is what's keeping them alive, right? It's the play-in bullshit. Now, we could talk about what the Raptors' odds are once they arrive at that single game elimination tournament, but nevertheless, here, Jacoby, boom, 3. This is going to be a game changer for him. If he can start hitting this at like a 37 to 39% clip, he's a good shooter, man. I've watched him in an open gym and he just keeps making them. He has a butter smooth jumper. And here, one of the aforementioned 3 offensive rebounds, he's always gotten on the glass. He's really physical. He does not mind taking contact. He'll dive on the ground. Just really love Jacobe Walter, man. Okay. Does someone have a stat for this? I want to know why the Raptors screw up so many 3-on-1 and 2-on-1 fast breaks. I would love to look at transition offensive efficiency for the Raptors because this shit is unbelievable. Colin Castleton hasn't been on this team more than 2 days, so I know he's not one of the more flagrant offenders of this, but why do the Raptors often get stuck overpassing? Like right now, you need to just go to the basket. And until, Colin Sexton commits to this, then you can pass. I believe to Jared Roden come in here. But passing here too early and now overpassing, not going up, bringing the ball down. Why bring the ball down? And then you get fouled. Jeez. Like, this is terrible offense. Like, this is the type of shit that's going to cost you in a playoff game somewhere down the line. Okay, this is my interpretation of what Jacobe Walter and Walker Kessler felt like in the height of the second quarter. For real. That's what it felt like. And this is what Walker Kessler actually looked like to me watching this game on the television. You know that big dude? Yeah. Now, Scotty Barnes has not looked explosive for the last month. He's looked gingerly, like he's moving around gingerly. He lacks that vertical burst. That first step has been really slow. He's not getting really any separation. But if you are a slow-footed defender to begin with, and you're just going to blow past him like Walker Kessler just did here, Scotty's like, oh, so there's no shot blocker. Filipowski is not a shot blocker, and Castleton is sort of blocking the angle on the shot blocker. So Scotty has a clear path to the basket, and a little bit of push down, push up to get a little bit more elevation on that. Banged up his hand several times during this game. That was interesting. And I like my caption here. 34 points for Emmanuel Quickley, one for every single $1 million he's paid, with 1.5 to spare. A lot of people like to count the money with IQ. Shooting is a very expensive skill in the NBA, especially when it's combined with self-generation. And I just think that Emmanuel Quickley will, over the life of his contract, probably earn that contract. Okay. Castleton acknowledged he should have taken it. Damn right. Does anyone want to call in? I believe a conversation would be significantly better than me ranting about how doomed the Raptors are for the next 10 minutes. Hacker Kessler probably could have fouled him. Well, he does shoot 54% from the line, which, believe it or not, is actually it's not super inefficient offense. For a team that struggles the way the Jazz did with turnovers tonight, I mean, they had 25 turnovers tonight, man. 25 turnovers. If they don't have those 25 turnovers, they might win this game. Just on the sheer size, right? I like Kessler, kind of fills a ton of our needs. I mean, you like Kessler tonight because he's going up against Orlando Robinson, but I don't think in most situations you really like Walker Kessler. Now, I know the Jazz have sort of held out for multiple first-round picks for Walker Kessler, but the truth is a big who cannot shoot and is very one-dimensional offensively. Like, unlike the Jakob Poeltl, he doesn't – I just said the Jakob Poeltl. Unlike Jakob Poeltl, he doesn't exactly bring a ton of playmaking to that position either, which I think is a very underrated part of Yak. And while his defense is good and drop, he's not the most switchable. And, he's efficient, but he's extremely one-dimensional. So, I mean, you say what you will. I prefer a guy like Donovan Clingan 10 times out of 10. He's decent. I just don't think he's worth multiple first-round picks, or at least I don't think he's worth what the Jazz think he's worth. I think he's a serviceable big off the bench, 15 to 20 minutes a night. I don't think he's a starter. I don't really think a lot of bigs are starters, man. I wouldn't part with significant assets for Jalen Duren. I wouldn't part with significant assets for Mark Williams. There's a lot of bigs in this league that are somewhat young and maybe, have some big numbers, but I don't really value what they do enough, right? What lineup would you close with all-time Raptors to lose as many games as possible? Oh, this is a good question. Armand, this is a great question. Okay. At point guard, we got Milt Palacio. You need to have Milt Palacio, bro. At shooting guard. Give me some suggestions. Shooting guard. Terrible, though. A terrible shooting guard. I mean, I'm thinking probably someone on this team right now might actually do it. Hey, you got to respect Muggsy and you got to respect Dion Glover, man. Dion Glover is really close. Jared Rhoden might be the good idea here. I'm trying to think here. Like, what is the scrubbiest shooting guard I can think of? I mean, there's some really scrubby bigs I can think of. Lou Williams. Have some respect, man. Malachi Flynn? No, I don't know about Malachi Flynn. Joey Graham. Nah, you got to go scrubbier. We need scrubbier. Jerome Moiso is definitely making this team, but he ain't okay. Landry Fields. This is good. I feel like we are catharting right now. We're taking some of those like really, really disgusting memories and balling it up into a fun exercise. Okay, cool. Who we got? Who we got? Who we got? Paul Watson. Paul Watson's a good. I'm really struggling. You know who it's gonna be? Yo, Marco Bellinelli was decent, man. I really just can't figure out a shooting guard. So I'm gonna go with. I can't go with Lamont Murray. I know who my small forward and power forward probably gonna be though. I know my entire front court right now. Actually, do I know my front court? No. Okay. I'm just stuck on the two guy. I'm just stuck on this two guard. I'm somewhere between, someone on this. Juan Dixon was good, man. Hedo Turkoglu was good. Armani Brooks was good. You know what? I'm gonna have to give it to my man, Joe Wieskamp. I'm gonna have to give it to Joe Wieskamp. No, I got it. I got it. I got it. Stanley Johnson. Stanley Johnson. Okay. Okay. Carlos Delfino was great. Okay. It's good respect Argentinian basketball. Okay. All right. So we go in there at small forward, right? We got Anthony Bennett. Anthony Bennett at small forward. I'm really laying out the table for this tank. At power forward, we got at power forward, we got Aaron Baines. No, we got Menke Batir. Menke Batir was terrible at basketball. And at center, we've got Rafael Arujo. This is some unethical basketball. You wash your mouth. Andrea Bargnani is too good for this. Oh, geez. How? Okay. Wipe the slate clean. Freddie Gillespie over Aaron Baines. So, oh my God. You know what? You're right. There's so many scrub examples, right? Like I was thinking about Eric Williams, Aaron Williams, right? I was thinking about Freddie Gillespie. I'm thinking of so many players. Okay. Yeah. It's a really bad team. That is a really good one. Damn. That like respect to your basketball knowledge. What? Junkyard Dog. Sfiji Mihailik. The African legend Solomon Alabi. Yo. Ex All-Star Goran Dragic. This is. Can you please tell me the point of pursuing the plan? Oh, is that what we're doing? We're pursuing it? Okay, cool. You mean like trying to rest your starters at the freaking third quarter and holding Scotty Barnes out to the point where he's trying to explain to a high school teammate, I don't know. You think they're pursuing it? They're not pursuing it. This is just math. You can't control it. Like people don't realize like this is a really good draft. And there's so many teams that realize that. And the Raptors realize that too. It's not like the Raptors don't realize that. The problem is that the Raptors were winning some games. They beat Indiana. They've beat some good teams. Okay. And they keep beating all these bad teams. And then occasionally they keep beating these good teams as well. And the problem is some of these really other bad teams are not beating these good teams. And so in the end, when the season's over, you're going to have 32 wins. And the team that didn't beat the good teams is going to have 26. You know what I mean? Like it's just going to be what it's going to be. So, I mean, honestly, if this was my team, if I was coaching it, if I was the GM, whatever, I probably walk into the season trying to pursue the play-in anyway. And, when it was obvious that things were falling apart, like the Raptors did what they were supposed to do. They tore it down. You may not think the trade for Brandon Ingram was tearing it down, but has Brandon Ingram registered 1 minute for the Raptors so far? No. Which means you gave away 3 serviceable role players in Davion Mitchell, Kelly Olynyk, and Bruce Brown for nothing. You've gotten nothing back. You got Brandon Ingram, picks, you got nothing. And you're still winning. There's really nothing you can do here. There's nothing more you can do. What do you want them to do? Trade Scotty, hold Scotty out? Look, unfortunately, and I mean, I know it's stupid at this point, Scotty is not making all NBA unless he literally averages 35 points per game for the rest of the year. So get step on it. But I think that's just sort of what's going on with this season, is because of this contract implication, you really don't have that ability to walk up to him and say, shut it down, cost yourself the money. You know what I mean? You never know how voters are going to swing. You don't know if somebody gets injured in the last 20 games and misses the cutoff, etc. But I do think, like, with the last 10, 12 games, I think he too will see the vision. But if the Raptors are really, really close to the play-in, I don't see what the harm is in just trying. You know, what's the difference between 11th and 10th? A lot of experience and probably one draft pick. Like, you'll be 8th versus 9th. The math of it is not as disastrous as you think. Honestly, the pick that I'm like really curious about right now, like I'm really, I don't want to say worried about it, but kind of annoyed about it, is that Portland pick. That's what's really got me up at night, because I was really looking forward to the Raptors having this very high draft pick from Portland, and now it's looking increasingly like they're just not going to have a super high draft pick. Now, it's worth noting Portland lost tonight by 20, almost 20 points to the OKC Thunder, and the OKC Thunder literally rested everyone. So it's worth noting. And it's also worth noting that Cleveland almost lost to Charlotte, which is an unbelievable thing to think about. 118, 117, three-pointer at the buzzer for the Charlotte Hornets. That's how you tank, man. That's how you tank. Cooper Flagg is saying he's going to stay at Duke. Do you believe that? No, I don't. I don't. But he can. I don't see a world in which he will. I'll explain it in this way. The sooner you start the clock on your first NBA contract, the sooner you can sign your second NBA contract. Now, we talked about this on the panel, and Ox lost his mind because he was like, you're trying to push these kids into the NBA when they're not ready. Fuck that noise. No. The point here is that with the way the cap is exploding right now, you have a huge vested interest to get into the league as soon as possible. Now, Cooper literally reclassified to get to the NBA early. This is a guy who's had his eye on the prize in the NBA draft pretty much since he was 14 years old. You think he's just going to go back? He's just shit disturbing, man. Maybe he's trying to take one for the team for ethical hoops. I don't know. But that's exactly it. Because every single contract unlocks a new threshold for your minimum, right? So, sorry, for your maximum. So you consider a player like Luka Doncic, right? Or you consider a player like LeBron James. First contract, set, right? Second contract, based on incentives. You know, with guys like Cooper, there's probably some all defense votes, some all NBA, maybe some consideration there. It could be a supermax right off the bat. It could be a supermax. And then you're looking at the next contract. Now, basically, throughout the course of your life, right? Okay, initially it won't cost you a lot. But when Cooper Flagg looks back on it when he's 36, the decision to not go to college for this for the second year will be a decision that will probably mint him about, if you consider the time value of money, money properly invested, money gained early versus, I could do the math and tell you it's probably going to be $150 million difference at the end of his career if he manages his money correctly. I don't even think that's a ridiculous number, right? Bingo. That's exactly it. No offense to Ox. Not trying to take shots at Ox, but that's just really, there's no agent in the world who's going to advise a star client to go back to the draft. It's just crazy. Exactly. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, look, this draft is very deep, right? I remain very committed to this idea that the Raptors can find a tremendous amount of value between 6 and 12, 6 and 14. So if they make the play-in, get bounced in the play-in, fall back to 9, there's going to be a really good player available to you, a rotation player, not like some sort of fringe, probably, a guy who's going to play 20, 25 minutes for you next year, a guy who's going to be on par, if not greater than Grady Dick as a prospect based on the strength of this draft. And right now, you know, I think you've got to just admire the bigger picture here. You've added an all-star level player in Brandon Ingram. You've unearthed a really special rookie in Jacobe Walter who may have lottery upside, right? Like serious lottery upside, not like fringe lottery upside, like Keyonte George and Jordan Hawkins, but like real lottery upside, like Devin Booker light, type of lottery upside. And so, you start piecing these pieces together, and then, I think the only thing you'll have to ask yourself is how much better can Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and Brandon Ingram get as a collective. But I don't see a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference that are competing with that core next year if they gel, right? You add in Jakob Poeltl, you add in a lot of bench depth, you add in some smart roster cleanups, and there's been a lot of talk. Since I was away at Penn Dance, there was a lot of talk about RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett being included in a trade this summer, RJ Barrett potentially, the Raptors having this notion of, maybe he's too expensive to re-sign. They don't really want to look at that. I think RJ Barrett is, a really interesting young piece for this team. I think I catch a lot of people telling me I'm hating on RJ Barrett because I don't view him as like some sort of franchise cornerstone or pillar. But like there's a lot of players in this league, like Paolo, where like they have so much in common with RJ. It's just like almost like, to me, it's the marketing. If RJ Barrett wasn't RJ Barrett and he was just putting up these numbers, like forget the baggage, forget the, the hype, you know what I mean? Like narratives color our bias about players. He's been trying defensively. He's been evolving as a playmaker. He's, he's coming a really long way. The free throw shooting and the outside shooting is really like a big question mark. And the defensive versatility is a question mark, but he's been a better rebounder. He's been just like, he's been all around. Like he's been like, this sounds really stupid to say, but like he's been like a really poor man's LeBron at times. You know what I mean? Like he can just dive. He can run the point for you at 6'6", 6'7". Well, he's more like 6'5", but whatever. He can run the point for you. He can barrel his way to the basket. He can get to the line a ton. He can make he can make passes out of that situation. Look, I'm saying very, very, very poor man's LeBron, but like that style of play adjacent, right? So who are we to turn our noses up at a 24-year-old who has that skill set, right? I don't know, man. I just I feel sort of bad rooting for losses when I so steadfastly believe that this team is heading for the play-in, and I'm rooting for them to win. I'm rooting for them to win. It kind of sucks, on some sense, like to know that the inevitability of that play-in berth will probably be a bounce in the first, it'll probably be a bounce in the play-in because you have to win 2 on the road. But if Brandon Ingram comes back, here's my question for you as this video goes live. If Brandon Ingram comes back, do you believe that this team can beat every team in the in a 1-game series? Do you believe right now that they can beat the Atlanta Hawks? Right? And then the follow-up question to that is, how competitive would you believe that this team could be in a first-round series against Cleveland? Right? I think that's the question you need to ask yourself. How good do you think Cleveland really is? I think Cleveland has a lot of question marks. I'm not saying the Raptors should beat Cleveland. I'm not saying the Raptors can beat Cleveland. I'm just saying I don't think Cleveland's unbeatable. And they're a little bit unproven in the playoffs. And, maybe an element of surprise. There isn't a lot of scouting data for Brandon Ingram on the Raptors. So if you ramp him out in the last 2 weeks, I don't know. I think it'll really test how good a coach Darko Rajakovic is, because when you get to the playoffs, the tanking stuff is over, right? So you get an actual look at what this team looks like when they're trying to win. And I don't think we've I want to say this very nicely. We haven't tried to win all year. Where we're at right now is us going out every single game and pretty much trying to lose. I can count on one hand the games where I can definitively say, okay, we tried to win that game. You know, a game that comes to mind where I was like, we definitively tried to win that game? Denver, the game that we lost on that RJ Barrett buzzer beater. That game, I can tell you definitively 100% every scheme, every lineup, everything told me in that game, they're trying to win this game. Most of the games this year have not felt that way. Most of the games this year have felt like we're going to do everything in our power to stack the deck against us and let the cards fall where they may. Rank Scrub saying, if you don't like Malawach and you want a center in this draft, does it matter where you finish? No, I guess it doesn't. That's a fair point. No, it doesn't. But the Raptors will always pick best player available. They will not go with, they're not going to go with fit. Y'all see the videos coming out of Brandon Ingram? How vibes, he looks, how happy he looks. I don't think you understand like what a Brandon Ingram does for this spacing. I feel like this team has established all of these brilliant habits. They've been putting together all of these like building blocks of defense, communication, chemistry, etc. And it's just like now, it's like how would I liken this Raptors team? Okay, it's like, okay, I'm going to give you the perfect example. Hang on, I'm actually going to find the clip and I'm going to play it, and hopefully I don't get demonetized for it, but I don't think I will. But it's the only way that I can. Hold on. It's the best scene. Okay, perfect. I got this. I got this. I got this. Okay. Okay. Do y'all remember V for Vendetta? And the whole thing is just being set up the whole time. And then this happens. That's how I feel about the Toronto Raptors. I feel like you've set all those little dominoes in place. You've added all these little pieces, the depth, the rotation pieces, the shooters. You've got people really confident, and all you have to do is just let them know it's okay to win, guys. We're trying to win now. I don't think you get a copyright strike for playing 4 seconds of a thing, and if you do, I'm done with YouTube anyways. But yes, you are correct. So let me pull that off. Let's get this off. Is this starting to worry you a little bit? They already ruled out IQ for a while. Ruled out IQ. Played tonight. Facts. He has often, unfortunately, Brandon Ingram has often been accused of milking injuries a little too much. Like, again, this is something that I heard from Pelicans media people that, oh, there we go. I got you. But now RJ's playing tomorrow. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm too optimistic. Maybe it's because I love this team and I genuinely just believe so much in some of these players. But it's just like we've seen really positive moments for most of these players. We've seen really positive moments with Yak and IQ. We've seen really positive moments with RJ and Grady. We've seen really positive moments with Scotty and RJ. We've seen really positive moments with, Jacoby and some of the bench players. We just haven't really seen it all click together for a sustainable period of time. Like, we've never really seen that happen where this team can just get it rolling and win 5, 6, 7 straight. And it's just like, maybe it's not super encouraging to win those 5, 6, 7 straight now because the competition is so bad. But in the end, the Raptors have had terrible luck with injuries. They have had some incredible self-sabotage. They have had some incredible, bad luck with whistles down the stretch and some really, really tough calls not going their way, tough bounces. And if after all of that, they still make the playoffs, it's because they absolutely deserve to. And honestly, you remove all the shenanigans, you remove most of the injuries. Let's just say you level out all the Raptors injuries to league average injuries. And you just say, okay, instead of Scotty getting bumped and bruised 5 times, we're just going to get him bumped twice. And instead of Brandon Ingram missing all this time, and look at the number of games that the Raptors have missed from their starting group, right? How many games have they really had that starting group together? And it's like, when you do get that starting group together, now they're trying to mesh and it's ugly and et cetera, et cetera. So you just constant instability in the lineups, instability in the rotations. However, name me another team that could play 4 rookies almost consistently and still make the playoffs. It's just hard. Unless those 4 rookies are all lottery picks, it's really hard. It's really hard. Name me another team that can trade for a $40 million player and basically not even play him, lose 3 rotation players in that deal, and somehow still maintain. Like, I just feel like this team right now, like, again, next year, my projection, 47 wins. So right now, I believe that if they started the season, okay, here's a question for the chat. Let me just ask you guys and just answer if you can. Season starts tomorrow. We're restarting it, okay? So March 8th, the season starts again. We're playing 82 games. The Raptors are going to play Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and they're going to try to win games now. How many games do they win in the next season if the season started tomorrow for 82 games? Let me know. You hear the qualifiers. They're trying to win games. You think they're a 48-win team. Okay. Springer thinks they're a 50-win team. 45 wins, 45 to 48 wins, 45 wins, 47 wins, 40 wins. So you know what y'all are telling me? Y'all are telling me you want to make the play-in. You know why? Because Cleveland can lose to a 47-win team. Cleveland can lose to a 50-win team. Cleveland can lose to a 52-win team. And maybe if you really believe that you have a 52-win team right now, then taking that ass whooping in the first round by Cleveland is worth more than moving up 4 or 5 spots in the draft. Maybe. I'm not saying definitely, but if you have to go this way, go all the way. I just don't believe in half-assing things, man. I really don't. Okay. Hang on one sec. That's a really good question. How do you get around, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley's rim protection? I don't know. You pray that Emmanuel Quickley can hold water. You pray that your defense can be good enough, that Scotty can outplay Evan Mobley by enough, that you can exploit that defensive matchup. Do you realize the Raptors have 3 wings? 3 wings. Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and RJ Barrett. Okay. So here's my question to you. In the past, the Cleveland Cavaliers have been able to stick Evan Mobley onto Scotty Barnes. Let's say they switch that up. They're going to put Evan Mobley on Brandon Ingram. Okay. They're going to put Jared Allen on Jakob Poeltl, which means that Max Strus and Donovan Mitchell have to guard Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett. Do you love that? Because I would take Scotty Barnes Okay, fine. They have DeAndre Hunter now, so they can play DeAndre Hunter a little bit more. But still, the Raptors are bigger than them. Somehow, you're bigger at the wing. And I feel like that can come back. And that just comes down to shooting luck. I give the edge to Cleveland. I give the edge to Boston in a first round series, but I don't think it's a smacking. Like, I don't think you get killed. And if it's not Boston and it's not Cleveland, I really don't have a lot of fear of the other teams. Yeah, New York would be tough. Milwaukee would be tough. Of course. You're not supposed to beat these teams. You're a young team. You're inexperienced. You're trying to gel. But it would be worthwhile to see. And who on Cleveland can guard BI? Exactly. I think there's a lot of questions to be had there. And, again, don't underestimate the vibes. Okay, I will say this. Some, personal reflections on the last week of my life. I am so tired right now. I am so honestly exhausted. And watching this team is like, it used to be like this incredible feeling of like a break, but now I'm so conflicted. So I just hope that we can pick a direction really soon because I want like my Raptors fix back, right? And it's not like these games would never be entertaining. I don't think Denver fans are like, "Oh, I can't wait till we face Charlotte and Utah." It's not fun. It's not fun to face these teams. It's never fun, it's competition, like competitive sport. I don't care what level you play at, whether you're playing rec league, house league, high school, division 1, division 2, Euro league. It doesn't matter. You play to win. And I think what's depressing about watching the NBA right now is teams are literally playing to lose. And I think that that's just like, it's really hard to watch. It's like a really tough watch, man. I'm not even trying to like be overly dramatic about it, but it's shit is like, it's tough. Okay. So that's the first thing. I will say that Raptor games have not been fun to watch. I don't know if you guys agree, but they have not been fun to watch for the last couple of weeks. They were fun to watch earlier in the season. We're still watching some, but I think we need to see a little bit more. I think I want to say something about friendship. And, I don't know if it's the medicine talking or, how high I am right now. I'm so delirious right now. You have no idea. Like I see four me's right now. I'm trying my best. I'm like, man, I hope I don't say something completely crazy and get myself canceled. No, I don't harbor any thoughts that would get me canceled. But I just want to say that I don't know like if this is the right place to say this, but there's like a lot of people in my life um, that sentimentally have meant a lot to me over the last 10, 12 years. And, you know, I'm sure that you guys also have like these lingering sort of dead relationships in your lives. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you guys have like those friends that used to be friends and you still have a lot of sentimental like, oh, we went to college together. Ah, we were on the same team together. Ah, but then it's just not serving you anymore. It's like you reach out to them and it's like they're still the same person, but they're not really the same person. You don't really have anything in common anymore, and they're not really fucking with you anymore, but you trying to pay it back. Maybe they did you a big favor. Maybe they were really close with you or something. Are you talking to me? I feel like Robert De Niro. Like, are you talking to me? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to say that for me, there's a lot of people like that in my life where, okay, they were a really, really big part of my life, 10 years ago, 8 years ago. And I'm a sentimental person. I think like I'm a loyal person. So, if you help me at any point in my life, I'm probably indebted to you forever. And I'm probably always gonna carry that energy towards you. And even if you don't really, we don't really talk for like 6, 7 years, it's still gonna be some positive energy from me to you. But now I'm realizing like some of this energy is just like it's being wasted, you know. So I'm correcting, I'm sort of I'm very bad at letting people go. I'm insanely bad at it, man. And this past weekend, we had a new team member for Penn Dance, and shout outs to Cass. And I just felt like I saw what a friend is supposed to be, you know? And it just sort of like shattered some previous friendships in my life. And I'm just like, shit, like this is a person who's there. This is a person who's supposed like this is a person who's matching your intention and your energy towards friendships. And I think friends are supposed to do things for you, and I think you're supposed to do things for friends. I think friends are supposed to inspire you to be a better person. I do. I think friends are supposed to motivate you. I do think that if you consistently find yourself feeling less optimized and less motivated after talking to someone, you have to consider letting that person go, man. And again, there's so many people in my life where I'm like, I'll talk to them, and after a period of time, I'll be talking to them and I'll start to feel like myself sinking. And I'm just like, man, I better cut this conversation off before I like sink into a depression. And, but they're your friend. Like they're this person that helped you or that you were close with them, but they got so many problems and they don't know how to deal with their problems. So you want to help them deal with their problems. And it's like sometimes being an empath really sucks, man. So I guess what I'm saying is this year, what I'm saying to you is, I mean, I'm not telling you shit. Like it's not a TED talk. Who am I to tell you what to do with your life? But I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing with my life. I'm giving myself the permission to put myself first. I'm giving myself the permission to matter, and I'm giving myself the permission to choose my friendships again. And that means that there are certain people in my life that I'm just gonna just snip them out, man. There's nothing to be gained from holding on to these dead relationships that serve you nothing. They are just clutter. And honestly, I know some people like I think a couple of years ago I was talking a lot about decluttering my space and all that stuff. You know what I haven't done for like 3 years? Decluttered my digital files, man. Sorry, like I'm probably all over the place right now. It's the medicine talking, I swear. But yo, like for real, do you know how many files we have? Do you know how many emails we have? Do you know how many articles of digital media we have? How many hard drives? I have 17 hard drives. 17 hard drives. And honestly, they're not organized and they're all technically just like condensed into this very, very small thing. So you don't really notice them. They're not like a book, but they're there. That's an actual thing. Your email inbox is a thing. You know what I mean? So I feel like in this new age of digital media, digital assets, we need to be really, really careful about how many of these things we have in our lives too, because I do believe they can clutter our lives. So, my girlfriend's heading to San Francisco in a couple of days. I am very excited. I'm going to use the entire 2 weeks that she's gone to like fucking declutter this whole house. And I mean, like from the bottom up, I am literally like, I'm not committing arson or anything, but I'm lighting this whole place on fire, man. I am like taking a bag and I am like, if I had one of those like gigantic shop vacs, I would just like vacuum the entire house into a bag and toss it out. I'm so done. I need a rebirth. I need a restart. And I was writing out those thank you letters for Pendants and looking at all the pictures as they come in, and it's great. It's a great event and whatever. But as I said in the last live, it needs to get bigger. It needs to get better. And in order for that to happen, I need to get bigger and better in my approach and in my mentality. And I'm going to start doing that. But I can't do that with the existing baggage that exists. So I'm letting go. I'm starting over. And I encourage you to make a similar positive decision in your life for yourself as well. I think being sick is a really weird thing for me because I don't like to be reliant on somebody. And I'm not really reliant on anybody right now, but my girlfriend had to make me tea earlier today and I was just sleeping. And I hate I hate that feeling of not being able to do things for myself. And yeah. Anyway, this is totally off the rails conversation. But we end up at the same place. We need to tank. Can't tank. There's nothing to tank. We have nothing. We're all digital hoarders. Can't be a mess if we can't see it. Well, I think you can see it. I mean, at least you can experience it and you certainly can feel it. There was a time, so I had this email that I must have signed up for a lot of bogus bullshit stuff with. And at one point, I had 26,700 unopened emails. Do you know how daunting that is? To not unsubscribe to shit that just keeps piling up and piling up and piling up. Oh my God. Like, that's nuts. Yeah, that was always going to be the case, military man. Like, RJ was sitting out the first night of a back to back. I said this back at Media Day, the tank was a mirage. Interesting. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. I promise I'll have more energy for the next game, which is tomorrow. Let's take a look very briefly at the schedule ahead for the Raptors. And yikes. Washington. Oh, Lord. Versus Washington at home. RJ Barrett. Yeah, man. Clock it. Like, you're winning this game. Wizards, Sixers, Jazz, Blazers, Suns. Oh, my God. The next loss is probably coming, honestly, after March 15th or March 7th. So right now, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. We'll have 25 wins when we go into Portland, 26 wins probably when we come out of Portland. We might beat the Phoenix Suns. It's just going to be the most improbable win streak ever. But hey, it's happened before, and it usually results in good things. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later. Please hit like and subscribe on this video. And also, please watch that Nav Bhatia video. I would love to put in for more interviews, but in order for me to get more interviews, I need to be able to show that the interviews that we get actually do well, because it needs to be worth people's time to do this. Unfortunately, the interviews that we do on this channel don't usually do that well. When we interviewed Jacoby's trainer, it didn't do super well. When we interviewed Jeff Doughton's trainer, it didn't do super well. I can't really say that Brian's, Scotty's trainer interview didn't go super well. It went okay, but it wasn't like quite explosive. And the Nav Bhatia video is not doing great. So I don't know, unless, I'm going to interview Scotty Barnes himself. I'm not really sure what it's going to take to blow one of these videos up. I do think I do think the interviews are good. I think they're good. And so, yeah, like if you want more interviews on this channel, if you want me to be able to ask more hard-hitting questions, then please do, like and share those videos. It really goes a long way. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great one. Thank you for your support. And hopefully I'm on the panel again next week. I needed this week off just to catch my breath. I've been so out of the loop with the NBA shit that I feel like I'd be talking total nonsense. So I'm going to take this weekend to just catch up on everything that I missed, all the games that I missed, etc. Because this league moves so fast, man. And you miss like 1 week, it's like you missed a month, right? So it's a lot of shit that's happened. So big thank you to ESPN Needs IKD, and a huge thanks to Rank Scrub. Appreciate y'all. And thanks for putting up with me being sick. Ironically, despite being sick, I probably coughed less on this pod than I do on most pods. And that's because of Fisherman's Friend. Okay. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great one. Bye. Ashley saying I enjoy some of your call-ins more than the interviews. Yeah, sure. I mean, call-ins can be really fun. Yeah. Okay. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great one. And yeah, I think I can't wait to be doing like draft content. Draft is, let's see here. Until it's clear like where the Raptors are drafting, I don't think there's any point in like over stressing it. But I have started working on videos and scouting, and I want to be really, really good with the scouting this year. So, oh my God, my nose is so itchy. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pepperjack. And yes, as I was saying, I do want to be fully prepared for whatever happens with the Raptors season in terms of, draft and wow. In terms of the draft, I mean, to anyone who thinks that I'm usually this disorganized with my thoughts, I honestly am delirious right now. So I apologize if I'm repeating myself or I'm spinning myself. I honestly am going to look back on this video in like 4 days and be like, I don't know how I stood up, sat down, and did a live. But my point is that I would like to be prepared for all outcomes, but I also don't, like, if the Raptors are destined to be picking 15th, I also don't want to be talking too much about Cooper Flagg. You know what I mean? So it's kind of where we're at. Yeah, he could be. I just think at this point you kind of have to ask yourself, like, where are the minutes, right? Like it's all well and good to have a wing defender like a VJ Edgecombe or a Colin Murray Boyles. The question is whose minutes are getting cut to play those guys. As is right now, like as it sits right now, this Brandon Ingram trade not only pushed Ochai Abaji, but also Jacobe Walter and Grady Dick to the bench. That's three wing players who have proven themselves to be at least future rotation players in the NBA, if not future starters in the NBA. I think there are some teams that could probably look at starting Ochai Abaji as a fifth starter. You know what I mean? So you just got so much wing depth. So unless you're projecting BI and Scotty as like bigs, like I'm not really sure how you have the minutes, which might really just open up the door to this RJ Barrett trade stuff, for a big. That would make some sense. That's exactly it. Especially if you pick a wing like VJ Edgecombe or Colin Murray Boyles, like they do need minutes. They definitely need minutes. And I haven't even talked about Jameson Battle. I haven't even talked about Jameson Battle and Jonathan Mobo. Both are wings that you're developing. So it's just like it's a good problem to have. You'd much rather have more than less. But yeah, at some point these players have to play, and yeah. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great one. Enjoy your night.